super thin skin, held up longer than I was falling.
Welcome to Center Stage, the documentary podcast. Each week, our group of intrepid researchers and music archivists dig through the record crates of the world, looking for that one artist to take center stage. Using a patent-pending algorithm and spirited debate, we pick one artist. Once that is settled, we invite that artist into Thunderlove Studio to chat with your hosts Keith R. Higgins and Jeff Calhoun. When we're lucky, they say yes. Our mission with Center Stage is simple: to make sure the recorded work of artists remains, or in some cases lands on, the cultural radar. We invite you to sit back and relax. Thank you for joining us.
Warning. Sound taken unproductively. Increased heart rate, chills, fever, and loss of control. Should you start to experience any of these sound effects, contact your immediately.
Ugly as the world looked on, love was but a lonely song. Ghosts guarded my street, and I felt so freely. Tying my shoe and I'm gone. Is it no incentive to be true tone? Ain't thinking the consequences long gone. Go if you're good, and I loved so freely. Crying for you and I'm gone. Innocent trajectory.
This week, we welcome singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist Rachel Fannan into Thunderlove Studio to talk about her career. And what a career it has been. As a musical polymath, she's worked with a who's who of independent music artists and even branched out into the game soundtrack world and commercial music. She's had quite the wild ride and continues to ride that wave of collaboration while maintaining a robust solo career. So why wait? Let's jump into it. Here's our conversation with Rachel Fannan.
I should advertise my very fun t-shirt tonight, which sums up how I feel about things.
What does that say? It's a cat. I can see the cat.
It's a fluffy, lovable kitty cat, and then it just says screaming internally.
I love it.
That's
Very
where
cool.
I'm at.
Very cool.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, I think so. It was so funny.
Yeah.
We had a prospective guest for an upcoming episode, like just clarify, like, you guys aren't going to want to talk about any MAGA stuff, are you? We're like, no. Nah.
Fair question. Yeah.
Fair question, but I feel like if you listen to even one episode of our show, you'd be like, yeah, we got it.
Yeah, it's a scary time. People are like afraid to get into it. And I think that's fair because it's just so volatile right now.
It's nuck and futz, y'all.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
Well, you know what? Let's distract folks.
Yeah.
You know what's not gnarly?
Let's distract folks from the gnarliness.
Let's go.
Of what is it? A $400 million plane that anyway.
Just a tiny gift.
Just
a little.
You know.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. He'd be stupid to turn it down.
Literal, his own words. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny.
So oftentimes we have had some musical polymaths, and I love that word, polymath. Ooh,
that is a great word.
It's scrumptious. We've had some musical polymaths on our show with very diverse resumes.
Love.
You're totally in the running for most diverse resume.
I'm taking screenshots so I can promote this later for you guys.
I think the best way to approach your musical career is chronologically. I think start us at the beginning. How does Rachel Fannan become interested in evolving into a musical polymath?
Okay, great question. Strong intro. Let's see here. I started my musical endeavors at a super young age because my dad was like a classical not like a classical pianist. Sorry, I'm from the San Fernando Valley of California.
Okay.
So, and I'm also 40 years old, so there's no reason why I should like always be using that word, but I do. But I grew up with a dad who's a classical pianist, and I thought, what a great way to get his attention and be his favorite, but to also learn the piano. So I started playing piano and listening to a lot of classical music, to be real, and falling in love with the romantic classical movement and just loving it so much. And then I was of the age where you could buy CDs. So my stepmom, who I grew up with as my mom, was taking me to buy CDs, and she really liked Tori Amos, who was a piano player and a rocker, and Fiona Apple and Amy Mann. And so I was listening to that at the same time, and just really, when you're a preteen and in your early teens, you kind of want the older people in your life to think you're cool too. So you're listening to what they want you to listen to. And so it was like classical music and some 90s alt girl jams. And that is where the polymath starts. That's where the cross sections begin to weave. All
right. I love it.
Yeah. The year was like 1993.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
A fine year to blossom into music fandom. The first, and we'll have to separate your solo works from your group works, because you have you've been a part of some really fantastic bands and group studio sessions, collaborations. I am personally a giant fan of Sleepy Sun. I really love that band. I saw Sleepy Sun a couple of times live and walked away. One of those gigs, Keith. You ever go to a gig and you see a band that's like the opening band and you'd never heard of them, and you walk away from the gig going, the opener just blew the headliner off the stage.
Yeah, for sure.
That was Sleepy Sun for me. I was like, these guys, holy smokes.
That is such a huge compliment. Thank you so much. Yeah, they rock. I was really lucky to meet them when I met them, and even luckier to be invited to work with them and be in their band. What year did you happen to stumble into the Sleepy Sun?
Like I said, I saw them twice. I want to say 2010.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then again in 2014.
I might have been at that first show. I might have been in the band at that time still.
Do you recall playing a little venue called Bottle Tree in Birmingham, Alabama?
Oh yeah, I was there for sure. That was me. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I'll have to look up who you were opening for that night, but great band.
It could have been like the Akron Family, to be real. It could have been someone like that.
Might have been. That rings a little bit of a bell. Have you, because you were tagged as the co-lead vocalist in those first two albums. Is there a favorite for you personally? Have you, like, when you think of your time in Sleepy Sun, is there one track that kind of jumps out as like, yeah, that one was really killer?
Oh yeah, I really loved singing hold me on the softest side of heaven. Everything off Marina was so much fun to do live, especially lots of harmonies, lots of 3-part harmonies. Because one of our guitarists, Evan Reese, was also a great singer and had a good ear for harmonies. And, we were not competing, but we were performing with the likes of the Fleet Foxes and other bands who were, kind of championing like rich harmonies and bringing folk into rock as well. And so we took advantage of the fact that we could all, kind of hear the harmonies together and do that together. Yeah, Marina is my favorite. yeah, nothing but good memories for those first two albums were a blast. One of the best moments, still to this date, of like music that I've contributed to. I love those guys, and still talk to them, and they're all doing music in different ways in some capacity. And there's been talks of a reunion. We've been brewing, we've been trying, but it's, as you guys know, it's like just getting harder and harder to tour and harder to put the dates together. So who knows? But yeah, if you're listening and you're a Sleepy Sun fan and you want to produce a North American tour, we would love that.
Jeff, what do you think?
Listen, I'm not going to hold you to it, but it sounds pretty fantastic to me.
We would be stoked. I've pitched it to them as doing like a Marina tour, or a tour of like the first album, or and like highlights from the other albums, because I'm only on the first two albums. So selfishly, I would want to do those. But yeah.
How do you get from sort of a folky, neo-psychedelic, I don't know how I would categorize Sleepy Sun. It's complicated, but how do you get from a more rock-oriented group like that to collaborating with UNKLE?
Oh, yeah. So James Lavelle of UNKLE was at one of our shows in London, and he just happened to be inspired by the vibe, and he approached our manager and just asked us if we wanted to do some tracks together. And we got into the studio and did 2 tracks together. It was a lot of fun. Very surreal experience. So many of those. I mean, that's just one of the finer ones, was meeting him and collaborating with him. But yeah, it was definitely like random, but it only goes to show like how playing live can really advance. I don't want to say like advance your career, but like you never know who's going to be at a show. You never know. You know, somebody major could just be having a drink or waiting for a friend, and your band opens up for, you know, Dinosaur Jr. and then loves your set so much that they approach you and want to work with you. So you never know.
That's amazing. I mean, Sunday Song is chef's kiss. Just wow. It's fantastic.
Thank you so much. Actually wrote those on my own and recorded them, and then sent those to James and his team, and they mixed them into the album. So that one I actually had the pleasure of doing by myself remotely, which was cool. And I had never done before, and that would have been almost 20 years ago, which is wild.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, don't no. I don't feel that old, but yeah, I'm that old. But it's great because it started me down a path of like just feeling like I could do things not independently, but like I could collaborate and I could engineer myself. I could learn how to do my own recordings if I wanted to, which I hadn't done really up until that point. So it was cool to kind of dip my toes into the recording world at that junction too. So that's another poly. That's another string woven in. Yeah,
for sure. Take me from the and we're also going to challenge in the history of this show. We're going to challenge for the record of most names dropped in an episode.
Let's go, Jeff. Let's go.
I think we can do it, folks.
Oh boy.
Keith, come on. You got my back.
I'm with you.
Oh, I've got some crazy names. I've been in some crazy situations.
Truly. Let's talk anywhere. Cedric Bixler Zavala by himself is a big enough name that you're like, ding.
Absolutely. Top tier. It's
right?
wild. It's wild.
Mars Volta at the drive-in, just A-level. And then you got Mike Watt, whose resume, Firehouse, Minutemen,
Wild.
Played with the Stooges, wild. Chris Novoselic played in a little band you might have heard of. Dale Crover, maybe the best live drummer alive. I don't know. How do you get involved with anywhere?
Yeah.
You're like Zelig.
It's crazy. I just prepared this because people sometimes want to see this and stuff. So this is this is the vinyl single that I got to do one of the songs on. I wrote and recorded the vocals for Dead Golden West off that Anywhere record. And yeah, it's so crazy to see my name under my above Mike Watt's name. What the hell? And so yeah, super wild. But your question was, how did I get there? I was playing a show with Sleepy Sun. Again, it you never know where a project is going to take you, so it's good to do and try things outside of your comfort zone. I had gone into Sleepy Sun as a piano player with some singing experience, but I left that band and that chapter of my journey meeting and collaborating with so many wild people. So at one of those shows, this random guy came up to me and just handed me a CD, a burned CD, silently. He just handed it to me and walked away. And I was like, okay. And so I listened to it. And I was like, okay, this is like some far out prog stuff. And then I thought nothing of it. I didn't hear from that guy. And probably like 6 months later, he emailed me and was like, hey, I'm the guy that sent you that or gave you that CD. And he was like, do you want to, record some vocals for this album? And I was like, sure. So I just started recording on 2 of the songs that I really liked. And then once I had sent my vocals in, then he told me who was playing drums and who was playing bass. And I flipped out. And when they got around to putting together all the promotional material for the album, me and Cedric and Mike and Chris all met at at Cedric Bixler's downtown penthouse. And we took some photos. His wife took photos and did our photo shoot. And it was unreal and so cool. And my heart was beating 1,000 beats per second. I was a major stoner at the time and was just trying to keep my cool and like, you know, just worried about making eye contact for too long, to be real. I was like, oh my God. And trying to crack a joke here and there. And it was just brilliant. And I remember thinking, this is so amazing. And unfortunately, we never played any shows together. But I think that was just a logistics issue with Mike and Cedric and Chris and everybody being on different touring schedules. And really it just being like an art project, an amazing art project, which has just celebrated, I think it just celebrated its 10-year anniversary of its release last year, 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago now.
That record is so good and
It's
deserves like a million times the attention that it got.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Like I'm, you know, I blame the marijuana. You know, I blame. Yeah, there were so many moments in my life that in retrospect blow me away now, even now, and I think, hey, why didn't I take a picture, or why didn't I take more advantage or milk that situation? But I don't know. I guess I was too busy being present, and that's good and bad. So yeah, and it's served me pretty well so far.
I'll say. Tell me about Only You.
Yeah, Only You is my attempt at starting my own band after I left Sleepy Sun. And I had always been writing my own songs on the guitar and kind of messing around in the background. And I had synced up with Michaela Grace and her husband, John Sortland, of their band at the time was called Leopold and His Fiction. And we had played some shows with them when we first started, we as in Sleepy Sun. And they were another kind of rockabilly, fun, up-tempo, just a trio that just ripped. They just shredded. It was so cool. They were kind of like Black Keys a little bit. And when I left Sleepy Sun, they were like, oh, hey, what are you doing now? And I thought, I don't know. I was thinking about just starting my own band. And so Michaela and John graciously, very generously started jamming with me. And they introduced me to Rich Good of the Psychedelic Furs, who would become our guitar player. And they introduced me to Hunter Bergen, the bass player of AFI, who would then become our additional drummer for when Michaela's husband couldn't drum with us, because he had his other bands too. So at one point, it was me and Michaela and Rich and Hunter playing, dive bars in Las Vegas and just having fun rolling around like that. And yeah, playing these songs from my project Only You, which were kind of like Elle King vibe, kind of modern rockabilly, a little bit of, I'm a big Chrissie Hynde fan. I love the Pretenders. So that was a little bit like this. And I was mixing it up, kind of going back and forth between the Runaways and the Pretenders. somewhere in there. Just having a good time with that, and took that from the Bay Area down to Los Angeles. I did that for like 5-8 years, really trying really hard. I had some cool meetings with some amazing producers and recorded some really high quality tracks and showed those tracks to some agents and some labels. And I was told at the ripe old age of probably like 26 or 27 that the songs weren't there, and that I should go on tour and tour more, and that I wasn't famous enough by myself yet, and basically that I didn't have what it takes. So I put that down, even though it was good. It was a lot. I did it for almost 10 years and just thought, wow, if I haven't become a famous touring musician on my own with this project in 10 years, then I'm going to try something different. So I did. And I have no regrets. I have some regrets. I mean, it's really hard, as you guys probably know. Thousands of bands, probably more, tens of thousands of super talented bands are playing great shows and writing great records and just putting their blood, sweat, and tears into their bands, and they go nowhere, or they don't make any money and are barely breaking even just to cover the cost of getting out there and back. So once I turned 30, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to be in charge anymore, because it hasn't really paid off in the way, I did not become the next Chapel Rowan, so.
So Sleepy Sun, UNKLE, Only You, Anywhere. Let's talk about a couple more collabs, and then I want to focus on you and your releases. How on earth? I keep asking that. How do you find yourself in this position, Rachel? How did you find yourself behind the drum kit? So you start. Hang on. Let's rewind. You started off. You entered Sleepy Sun as a piano player, keyboard player. Found yourself shifting to vocals.
Yeah.
Sort of found your footing as a vocalist. Now you've shifted gears and you're behind the drum kit playing with Pussy Riot.
Pretty wild. Yeah, definitely confusing and wild. Yeah. I basically, just to fill in a few gaps, I basically since high school, I've been playing drums, guitar, bass, keys, and singing. I was kind of a reject theater kid because I had like a mad overbite. And so my speaking voice wasn't amazing. And I didn't have like the posture for stage presence. So I did end up trying to insert myself into different projects by learning different instruments. And this is crazy if you knew who I was calling me right now. Okay, hold on. I just had to pause that. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, who's calling you?
Spill the beans. Come on.
Okay, you may or may not know this person, but their name is Jeff Rona, and they are a film and TV and video game composer. And they they were one of Hans Zimmer's proteges, and so they do a lot of film score and a lot of TV music and video game music. So it's another totally different. One more thread in the tapestry. Okay, Jeff, you gotta share with me.
We're really validating this polymath thing. I'm so glad.
Appreciate it so
We
much.
really are.
It's really cool. You guys, you're making me feel really nice tonight. So I had been playing the drums for a long time when my friend Guy Blakesley, do you know the Entrance band?
I don't.
Oh my God. If you like Sleepy Sun, you are going to love who we worshipped back in the day. They are called the Entrance Band, and it was a 3-piece. Derek Wheeler, Paz, I will never know how to say Paz's last name correctly.
Lutzenkirchen?
Yeah. Paz, who later became the bass player of the Pixies, and my friend Guy Blakesley, who is a shredding guitar player and singer. So we had played some shows with them, totally in love with all of them. God, they're so good. It's literally one of the best bands I've ever seen and will ever hear in my whole life. Entrance band. And so Guy had asked me to drum for him on a tour. So I had actually, just a year before I started drumming for Pussy Riot, I had been drumming for Guy. And the bass player of that group, you're not even going to believe this, was also the bass player of Interpol. And so there I was with one of my guitar heroes and the bassist of Interpol, and it was so sick, and me on drums. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Full US tour, so crazy. And we were opening up for Father John Misty. It was wild. No, it's so crazy. I will tell you what I think my formula is at the end of this interview, like how I got the luck. Yeah, but we can circle back. So Guy is just so incredibly talented. He knows everybody. He's in the studio with one of his producers at some point, and that guy is looking for a band for Pussy Riot's main singer, Nadia Tolokovic. I'm going to say that wrong. And I get a text one day that just says, "Want to drum for Pussy Riot?" And I'm like, oh my God. Yes, I do. That's wild. So I get a text the next day from Nadia, the singer of Pussy Riot, like one of the main core women of the group, who served 2 years in a Russian penitentiary camp and was like tortured and like crazy stuff, escaped, moved to the United States, kept producing art and music. Major icon in the feminist movement. I love her. She's amazing. I get a text from her saying, want to go get some dinner and talk politics, and maybe you can be our drummer. And I was like, yes, I do. And we went out and we had dinner, just me and her, and I fell in love with her. She's amazing. We talked about politics. We aligned on everything. And so then I began a year of being the drummer for Pussy Riot. Mostly we did European tours and like LGBT festivals. And then the pandemic hit as we were about to do a major US festival. Literally the day the World Health Organization announced the full lockdown of the United States in 2020 was the day our van was loaded up to go on our first big tour. So that was canceled, unfortunately. And yeah, that was the end of that chapter for me, sadly. But what a wild experience up until that point, for sure.
That is absolutely crazy. And by the way, we will talk about Jeff Rona.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We'll get there.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. You brought it up. Another thread, another layer in the diversity that is.
Yeah.
You want to talk about diversifying the portfolio, Keith?
Yeah, it
Jeez. I feel like in the musical game of Kevin Bacon, you're like the most valuable person to know because you're like 1 degree from everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Jeff, the long story short, and I'll tell you guys the truth. Jeff was my dad's best man at his wedding.
No
they went to college together and they were college roommates.
Oh, wow.
So growing up, I had Jeff Rona as like a musical goddaddy. And he was always, giving me a little compliments on the piano and encouraging me to be musical and weird. And then as soon as I got of age to drive myself around, he would recruit me to his studio. I would watch him boss interns around, but I'd also get to see him working on these insane movies and just and TV shows, and it blew my mind. And then a few years ago, he asked me to write a song with him for a Capcom video game, and we wrote a video game anthem fight sequence song together called Crimson Cloud, and that was a blast for so many reasons, but I'm also honored to know Jeff Rona as well.
That the Devil May Cry soundtrack, Keith, it probably sounds goofy to talk about a video game soundtrack as a musical landmark, but I feel like the Devil May Cry soundtrack is.
It got a lot of attention. It was super cool. And I even got to record the vocals for that track in front of the Capcom, the Japanese leaders of Capcom for the game. They flew out from Japan to watch me record, which was so nerve-wracking, but also really cool. So that was amazing. That was just wild in itself. It was a very big honor. And yeah, that song did surprisingly really, really well. It's got a couple, I haven't even checked because it came out a minute ago, but it's got a lot of plays. It's got a lot of plays. Yeah, that was fun.
You got a couple of full-length albums under your belt.
Yes.
But a just booty load of singles that didn't congeal into album form. Is the single the preferred way of getting music into the world as a solo artist, or is there a strategy behind that?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I've heard different things. I've heard different things from different people over the years. And the one thing I kept hearing over and over again was no one's listening to albums from, obscure artists anymore. And, even if you just have 1 or 2 songs ready, you should just release those 1 or 2 songs. And so I started doing that. And sometimes it was just a track that someone had asked me to record for them, like a cover. And then a few years down the road, I said, hey, did you ever do anything with that? No. Okay. Can I release it? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Other situations were people not pretending, let's see the right word. People imagining that they had just discovered me and wanting to produce some music for me and not really understanding my personal music goals. And then so ending up just kind of doing something like a one-off with certain people. And, so yeah, it's been a mix of things, I don't, as you are figuring out and spelling out for the audience, I don't really fit into one box. And so I think the music business, the music as an industry is really brand focused and image focused. And to get started, there's this belief that you need to sound one way and look one way, and it needs to be really strong and really focused. And I would say that formula does work a lot for sure, but it does not work for me. And so that is why my pieces are all over the board, so to speak. Because I never really thought of myself as someone with one message or one image. I don't know. That's just me, I guess. Is that ADHD? I don't know.
Might be.
I might be neurodivergent. Let's be real. I think they're calling it a spectrum now. So I'm probably somewhere on there.
I think a lot of us find some semblance of comfort in identifying a little bit with it. Let's talk about one of those songs that didn't make it. At least I think it was just a single, but as someone who has worked elements of the tarot and supernatural into a bunch of different lyrics, I love the song Princess of Swords.
Oh yeah.
Princess of Swords, champion of love, come and find me. I found flowers. And we laughed into the night, and we laughed into.
What can you tell us about Princess of Swords?
Yes. Okay, so I was trying to get some songs together for an album that I later released and called The Marigold Experiment. And The Princess of Swords was one of them. And it was just based on a tarot card that I pulled at the Hollywood Cemetery while waiting for a movie to start with some girlfriends. And of course, so LA. But yeah, one of us brought tarot. And there we were in the Hollywood Cemetery pulling tarot for each other. Very hip, very cool. Gosh, I forget what movie we were seeing. Ah, my gosh. It was something like The Labyrinth or something really cool like that. No, it was The Never Ending Story. No, wait, was it? Oh, I don't remember. It was
We'll go
something
with that.
puppets, yeah.
Okay.
And I pulled the Princess of Swords and I became obsessed. And I was like, what is this? Who is this? And I just tried it on with, a writing session one day and came up with that. Played the guitars myself and had a engineer producer friend of Jeff's, Alec Justice, help me mix the track and arrange it. And yeah, just also a big fan of tarot, a big fan of imagery of tarot, and really inspired by the idea of not manifest destiny, but just being guided by forces outside of yourself. I thought was really cool. So that song was inspired by all of that. And I love it so much. And I kept chipping away at ideas like that. Fever Pitch is another song that I released right after Princess of Swords and Wish I Was. And those are all singles that led up to the Marigold Experiment. There was a little bit of guitars, but I was kind of saying goodbye to guitars, more electronic based. I'm a huge fan of Björk. If anyone is listening from my fans of my social media, you will know that I recently went viral for my Björk impressions. And so I decided, you know what, people, I had been rejected by some labels and some producers for not having a sound. And I kept hearing one thing, which was, you know, what's your sound? Who inspires you? And I thought, well, you know, who has always inspired me is Björk. She's amazing. And I can't say that you could pinpoint her sound or her image. You know, it's very artsy and out there. And sometimes it's minimal and sometimes it's strings and sometimes it's industrial. And so I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to take all these electronic aspects that I really have enjoyed in all these different artists, and I'm going to attempt to do my own thing with that landscape. So the Princess of Swords came out of that as well. So long answer.
It's what I was fishing for, actually.
Yeah.
Perfect. I have always maintained that civilization peaked when Björk performed Army of Me with Skunk and Nancy on Top of the Pops. It's all been downhill since then.
There was something really magical about the 90s that we just never got back.
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
I'll drink to that.
I will too.
Reaching for it. I'm using you in a way to connect with my 13-year-old daughter.
Oh, cool.
My taste is, you know, Björk and several. You do a very nice Fiona Apple. You could probably do a very fine Tori Amos, I'm sure. That's my music. That's my era. My daughter is all Be Abba Doobie and Men I Trust and Leve. And I'm like, if you like Leve.
Yep.
And so, Keith, are you familiar with this young lady?
I am not.
Okay. There's a phenomenon happening right now where she's just a traditional jazz vocalist. I mean, there's a beautiful voice.
From Iceland.
From Iceland. Very unique voice, but trad jazz for sure.
Yeah.
And it's wildly popular with this young female crowd.
So cool.
And I'm so here for it, man. She's all in.
Yeah.
And she dabbles in a little of the pop stuff. Like she likes Billie Eilish and she likes, you know, some of that stuff. But Leve is like her jam. And so I'm like, you need to listen to this woman, Rachel Fannan. Because I think there is some traditional jazz in your vocal on a lot of your solo work.
Oh yeah. I just being neurodivergent and having music and music history be my special interest. I also worked at a record store for a while in Santa Cruz. Shout out Streetlight Records. I mean, I am one of the kids who watched High Fidelity and admittedly was like, oh my God, I am Jack Black. Let's go. Or maybe I'm John Cusack. I don't know.
For sure.
I actually got to FaceTime with John Cusack once when I was hanging out with Nadia from Pussy Riot, and it was so cool, and I freaked out. Anyway, fast forward to now. High Fidelity, where was I? Listening to jazz. Yeah, okay, so what was my first introduction to jazz? I cannot remember who I heard first. It was either Billie Holiday or Chet Baker. And there's something about both of them. They are not singing loud, but their voices are so powerful and emotive. And I remember thinking when I was listening to them for the first time, holy balls, like this is the epitome of vocal performance and art and jazz. And as we know, jazz came from classical music. All these trained classical musicians started doing heroin and smoking dope and getting crazy on the classical stuff. And it became jazz, and it was awesome. And so I thought, wow, this is just evolution. And so jazz got its hooks in me young. I loved it so much. Of course, I'm lucky. I mean, gosh, am I lucky? I don't know. Napster and BearShare were also available when I was in junior high school. So I was downloading music for free, which is like the Wild West of the internet before YouTube and like all that stuff. You could just download wild stuff. And my dad worked for a company called Fujitsu, which was like a early computer company. And so we each were privileged enough to have our own really, really budget computers back in the 90s and the early aughts. So I was downloading jazz and listening to Billie Holiday and just falling in love with that stuff for sure. I'm really glad you are hearing that in the stuff that I do, because that would be intentional.
I pitched it to my daughter as, this is Leve meets Bjork.
Yes.
And I think the specific tune, and I do want to kind of roll this into, so Lovely is that to me. That's your Leve meets Bjork.
Took it as far as I could. My hand on your heart. Isn't that enough? Took it as far as I could. My hand on your heart. Isn't that enough? Your heart. Isn't that enough?
I see both Rachel Fannan, but it's also r.rrrchl.
Yeah, I was trying to like launch a new side project and get weird with it, because all the kids are into lo-fi now. You know, they're into lo-fi. And I'm into lo-fi now too. I got in a motorcycle accident in 2017.
Oh, wow.
And when I was bedridden and like not able to walk, my cousin, who's 10 years younger than me, was like putting on music in the room with me, and it was so good. And I remember, and they sampled Chet Baker in one of the songs, and I thought, what is this? This is my favorite shit. This is like electronic music with jazz. Oh my God, I love it so much. And she goes, oh yeah, it's called lo-fi. And I'm like, oh wow, I love this a lot. So I definitely, but no one just goes under their name. No one is putting out lo-fi music as, Henry Winkler. They're putting out music with X's and periods and underscores and asterisks. And, swim or be dragged, guys. And I for whatever reason, my brain has evolved in such a way that I don't feel defeated by change. I don't feel left behind by progress. I'm very inspired and challenged by it. I feel invited. And so I hope that I'm and I'm 40 years old. So if I can do it, you guys could do it too. Okay. No one is too old to do their next side project. Okay. Just do it. No one's judging. No one cares. If it makes you feel good, if you think it's cool, freaking do it. Put it out. So that's what R.RRRCHL is. It's my name with no vowels. They love it. They think that's so cool. I'm like, yeah, do that. So Keith, you would be KTH. Just that. Whoa. Oh. Maybe throw an X in there, maybe throw an underscore in between K and TH.
I have a new identity.
Yeah.
If
new Instagram account.
Here's that. Yeah, I got you.
It's got to be all lowercase, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
See, he already knows.
I'm on it.
Yeah,
oh,
I didn't have to tell you that. Exactly.
So here's another hook. This has enabled me, this combination of, because it is lo-fi. By the way, shout out to I'll never forget the time I discovered Smoke Trees on Spotify. Just this playlist called Smoke Trees, and you're just like, what the? I love lo-fi.
Please email me a link to that.
I will hook you up. It takes me back to one of the greatest albums of all time. I recently purchased a fresh print of this treasure on 180 gram wax, just because I wanted to see how loud can my turntable tolerate this before the needle skips. Massive Attack's Mezzanine is a masterpiece.
Yes. And wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That's a good one.
So much of this R.RRRCHL album takes me back and gives me Massive Attack vibes, which is maybe the nicest thing I've said to you in the entire hour we've talked.
That's saying something. Wow.
I'm laying it on thick now, Rachel.
Oh, who doesn't love Massive Attack? I mean, what a high compliment. Thank you so much. Yeah, truly inspired by them. Inspired by Elizabeth Fraser of Cocteau Twins, inspired by, I didn't love all the music that came out of like the goth and subgenre scenes of like the late 80s, but I did really love Massive Attack and Cocteau Twins, and I love early Cure. There's just something so, again, like explorative about the vocals. You don't always know exactly what they're saying. And then the arrangement and the production of the track is so emotive and ethereal. It's amazing. It's so cool. It's like hearing Portishead for the first time too. I'm a huge Portishead fan.
Oh, right, Beth Gibbons' voice.
I almost threw myself off a cliff when they finally put out that third album.
Gee whiz! And if you haven't checked out the Beth Gibbons solo record that came out last year,
quality.
It will blow your mind. It's
I could probably do a mean Beth Gibbons, but I don't know how many people would know her voice or her name.
So let's talk about going viral, because I'm not gonna lie.
Let's try it. Yeah,
that video was recommended to me. Like, you popped up in my rotation. I was like, that's amazing. Awesome. You have to be in this moment, being exposed to just like huge numbers of brand new people that maybe this is their entry point into your catalog.
And hopefully this is their entry point into Bjork's catalog or anyone that I'm covering, alt 90s stuff, which I'm just, that's just what I grew up with. And now we know, we are as far away from the 60s and 70s as kids, teenagers today are from the 90s. So everything we thought was cool, like, listening to Led Zeppelin for the first time, listening to Tim Buckley for the first time, listening to Joni Mitchell for the first time. A lot of kids are getting inspired by the, Elliott Smith, like you would, and like Elliott Smith was our Nick Drake or whatever. And now the kids are calling their new guys named Alex G. Do you guys know about Alex G? Yeah. So it just keeps, everyone's inspired by some slice of that. So I'm honored to be, weaving them together. I got to pick the next one. What do you guys think? What do you want to hear?
Oh, geez.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'll tell you that it is to answer your question though, the cool thing about Instagram is seeing the behind the scenes algorithm of how your videos reach your followers and non-followers.
Yeah.
And after I hit a certain spot of followers or views on that first video, which was Bjork Sings Weezer, you cannot get more. I don't know what the word is, but that's like the epitome of
meta.
Oh my God, people are obsessed. After that video hit 2 million views, every time I released a video of me singing, I got at least 75%, if not more, of the views of that next video were of people who had never seen my account. So if you're trying to crack the viral code, if you get one video out there and it's going hot, if you can recreate an element of that that's familiar to the people who are following you, the algorithm of Instagram will then share it to people that aren't following you. And actually, that's my new goal for being 40 is, can I get 100,000 followers on Instagram by the end of this year?
Easy.
It's a social experiment. So if you're hearing this, please follow me on Instagram.
Easy, right? Like your trajectory right now, just
it's incredible.
Why not 1 million?
I had 5,000 organic Instagram followers in January at the beginning of this year. And I now have, holding for reference, I think it's like 44 or 45,000 followers. Yeah. So I am gaining like probably 100 to 200 followers every day or something wild like that. Every week, something like that. No, every day. It's pretty crazy. And that's the way the math on that application works. I don't know that it's the same for TikTok or anything else, but yeah.
Amazing. So you won this wonderful award. Not only have you done video games, you've also done, solo work, band work. You've done electronic music and rock and roll music. You also won a nice award for some work you did in the advertising world for this ad for Canon.
Yes. Yeah. So I was lucky enough to haphazardly enter the commercial recording world. In 2011, I was with a guy who was going to pick up a hard drive. You know how guys do. Gotta go to the studio. I'm gonna go to the studio and pick up a hard drive, babe. I mean, that's what the kind of guys that I was hanging out with. Let's be real. And so we were at the studio picking up the hard drive. And back in the day, I was a dead ringer for Zooey Deschanel. I was super cute. No grays, big bangs. And so the engineer at the time probably thought I was, good looking and was like, "Hey, want me to show you my mixing board?" And I was like, "Sure, show me your mixing board, bro. Let's go." And I'm looking at this stuff. I don't know. I've only seen this stuff. I don't know what any of it's for. Obviously, there's quality microphones, expensive old guitars, these Wurlitzers, these crazy amps, a Leslie amp. There's all this just crazy, amazing, expensive vintage gear in the studio. I'm clocking it as I'm in there. And I'm getting that this guy is vibing me. So I'm like, I'm going to shoot my shot. And I asked him if he needed an intern. Do you need an intern? And I put my sexy voice on for that. And he said, yes. And little did I know, I mean, I was 25. No, maybe I might have been younger than that. 20, maybe like 24. No, I was 25. Let's be real. And I said internship because I, hadn't survived college. I had just gotten off, 3 or 4 years of touring. with Sleepy Sun, and then was touring my own stuff as well. And I had never really had like a job in music. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I need to pay some dues here. So it ended up being a commercial recording studio. A few months later, they asked me if I could sing. And I said, a little bit. Yeah, maybe I could give it a try. And so it was a commercial for Canon. And that next year, that commercial won a Creative Arts Emmy. So I got to be a part of the team that did that and accomplished that. It was incredible. And I'm so lucky. And that started my journey down that path. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's too much. I don't know what to do with it anymore.
Yeah.
You've collaborated with so many amazing people outside of Bjork, because let's be real, we all know that's the answer. Is there somebody you haven't had a chance to work with that is like the dream?
Oh my gosh. Like if I could you mean like if I could sing with somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I would love to sing with, and in no particular order. And I guess we'll have to stick to people who are alive. Because that's the way reality works, right? Am I right?
Bummer.
Yeah.
Although with AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get me started. It's sad. It's too
anything's
much.
Possible, right?
I know. It's too much, though. I would love to sing with Tom York. That would be so sick. Chris Isaac. Because come on. His voice. I'm picking all guys because I don't know. That's how my brain works with the duet stuff. And frick, what's his name? Cowboy guy with the mask.
What?
Huh?
Cowboy guy with the frilly mask. Oh God, my friends are on tour in his band.
Oh, Orville Peck?
Yes, Orville Peck. I think that would be so great. Yeah, that'd be lovely. Those are three people that I'd love to sing with. I mean, I'm always hearing new singers and just I'm constantly inspired by new talent. Like she's been at it for a minute, but Aurora is her name. She's got an amazing voice, and it would be really cool to sing something with her. I feel like me singing with Bjork would just be too weird, and me singing with Fiona Apple would be too weird too. No one wants to sing with somebody that sounds exactly like them. So, yeah. You know, when someone tells you like, you're going to love this guy, you guys have so much in common. You're going to fall in love with each other. And then you meet them and you're like, oh, we're too much alike. I don't like this. I feel like we're competing for air. So I would never want any of my idols to feel like that around me. And that's why every time someone tags Bjork, I'm in my mind, I'm just cringing. I'm like, don't tag her. Don't do it. She will not like this. I don't think she'll like this at all. But yeah, I don't know. It's I would love to collaborate with jazz pianists and classical composers. I'd love to do more jazz. Absolutely. If any producers are listening, that is my next goal for sure. More jazz, maybe.
All right. As varied as your history.
Right on.
Yeah, absolutely. The jazz seems to be like my comfort zone. It's the easiest for me to slip into for sure.
That's interesting.
And before I let you go, if anyone's listening out there and is wondering, oh my God, how did this bitch do this? Oh, beep. I would say it's a combination of three things. One, obviously, be good at what you do. Okay. Mm-hmm. You can't get by with no skills at all. Okay. It just doesn't happen. You have to be able to do one thing really well. I'm not saying be the best at that thing. You do not have to be the best to be successful. We know that. But you do have to be good at it. Number two, be nice. Be nice. If you have a chip on your shoulder, if you treat people above or below you like they don't deserve to be there too, or whatever, you are not going to get the gig, friend. I can't not tell you how many gigs I've gotten because I'm nice. I'm easy to work with. And 3, once in a while, you're going to need to do things for free or no money. Let's be real. And I don't mean like the opposite of know your worth or whatever, because I know there's a big push to empower people to, ask for money. And I think that's really good. People should do that. But once in a while, if something seems really cool and inspires you artistically, but there's no money, still you should do it. You should do it. Because I didn't get paid for some of this stuff that we're talking about. But it's gotten some reach. So there's no harm in that. Yeah. And so those are the 3 things, show up, or no, first one, be good, be nice, show up.
Sage advice.
RachelFannan.com. You can hire her to be your vocal coach.
You can, yes.
You can hire her to produce some tracks with you and teach you studio stuff.
I'd love to.
All sorts of opportunities to work with Rachel.
Oh yeah.
And connect yourself. Be a part of this Rolodex, this access, instant win in the game of Kevin Bacon and 6 Degrees. Instant win every time. I know Rachel Fannan. You're good.
You're good. You're in. You're cool. Yes. That actually has legs these days. And I love teaching. I love producing. I make beats for people all the time. I teach people how to register themselves with PRO companies so they can collect money on residuals and play. I teach people about what those words even mean. So if you don't even know how to make money off your music or how to get your music on a streaming platform, not like Spotify is amazing, but I can help you make sure that your creative rights are protected. And yeah, I'm all about passing the torch. I got really lucky in a lot of ways. And so I feel like I kind of owe it to the universe to share my knowledge.
I think it's a very noble goal.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Jeff, thanks for having me. Keith, it was nice to meet you. You guys rock.
Yes.
It was an honor, and let's do this again sometime. Maybe when I have something coming out.
I think we could probably do an hour just on protecting your rights as a musician.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I did not even get to some of the craziest stories or weirdest, most famous people that I have hung out with. So.
Come on, you held back?
Oh, give us one.
You held back? Wait a minute.
Come on.
Rachel.
No. I don't. I can't offer it up. You got to stumble on it. You gotta accidentally say the band or say the name, and I'll be like, oh, wouldn't you like to know? Yeah, because it's been a wild road. And I blame marijuana. They do say what came first, the drugs or the rock and roll. And I really do not know anymore because they come hand in hand. Like, not to promote drug use, but there's something to be said for a little safe recreational smokage or sippy sip. Sure. It's not all bad. I'm sober now. I've been sober for like 6 years, but while you got a candle to burn, go for it. I don't knock it.
I will cite a conversation from long, long ago in my history, which I almost brought up twice during this conversation. Adam Franklin from Swerve Driver once told me, I have seen way better bands than mine fail, and I have seen way worse bands than mine succeed. Just make your art. Yep. And the other thing that he told me, I said, man, I got to tell you, I listened to your album Mescal Head on a 10 strip of acid, and it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. And his response was, that's what it's for, mate.
That's right. Smoke it if you got it. Roll it up there.
So I am with you in that appropriate recreational use unlocks things. There was we didn't even talk about Black Mountain. Jesus.
Exactly.
How
Oh
did
my
we not
gosh.
talk? How did we not talk about neo-psychedelia? What is neo-psychedelia?
I guess we'll have to. I mean, are you
You'll
guys,
have to come
a
back.
part
are
two.
you guys down for a part 2?
Let's do
Oh,
a
for
sequel.
sure. Yeah.
Count
Are you
me
kidding?
in. Count me in. I live for this stuff.
2-parters are the best because honestly, anyone that makes it this far into this episode and isn't like, I got to hear what she says next is a fool.
Okay,
This
let me-
was a blast. We'll schedule time.
So
Right? We'll figure out where your release schedule is and what your production schedule is, and we'll get together.
this is the end of part 1.
Yes.
Listen, visit us again for part 2 when I may or may not talk about Crispin Glover,
Oh,
God.
Jay Mascis,
oh,
and Father John Misty. So there's just a few. There's some nuggets out there. But yeah, you'll have to tune in again.
I want your phone book. I want your contacts off of your phone and be like, how many phone numbers does this bitch really have?
There's more. That's just a few. I'm sprinkling right now. And you just gotta be, Wayne Coyne of the Flaming Lips is another moment I have.
Get out of here. Okay.
It's crazy,
All
but
right.
you're part
Two.
two.
Part two.
The hook is firmly in the cheek. Rachel,
I
you're
hope so.
awesome. We'll
You guys,
see
it was so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
You
All
too.
right.
We'll
talk
talk soon.
All
Bye.
right.
Bye.
Many thanks to Rachel for sharing her stories with us.
This episode of Centre Stage was written and produced by Keith R. Higgins and Jeff Calhoun. The show was recorded at Thunderlove Studio, where it was engineered by
Daphne Morris,
with help from
Penetration,
edited by
Vic Titball,
with help from
Clem Fandango.
Our theme song is Cynical by Jaguar on Mars. You can stream Jaguar on Mars wherever you stream your favorite music. The songs that you heard during this podcast were Santa Cruz, Marina, Sunday Song, Dead Golden West, Love is Making Me Tired, Princess of Swords, and lastly, you heard Lovely. You can stream all of these songs wherever you stream your favorite music. Be sure to check out our show notes for a link to Rachel's Bandcamp where you can pick up all of her work. Please support independent artists.
original music by Mike Pellegrino.
If you like what you've heard, please remember to subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps other people find the podcast. Thanks for listening.
Grazie. Bailey Leaf, Rob Janicki, Mike Pellegrino, Farina Vella, S.W. Loudon, Michael Janicki, Peyton Janicki.
This show's executive producer is Lulu McGillicuddy and is in the loving memory of
Lucas Thunderlove.
And now, until we meet again next time, I remain as always obediently yours.
Abandoned Albums is a production of Paw Print Media.